titled The Dumped Justice.
Written by the brilliant author Vincent.
Yes.
Gio, who is our narrator, and Vikram. So that's the trio.
Fast forward to now. They're in their 40s and their lives are still intertwined, but things are very different.
Yeah, let's look at Gio first. He is thriving. He's a successful businessman running an advanced printing press.
And he's living happily with his wife, Rini, and his 15-year-old son, Tom.
So Gio's doing great, but then there's Vrinda. She is a divorced chemical analyst. Her daughter is studying abroad, which is expensive, and Vrinda operates her lab from a rented premise.
Right, but she did manage to build a new factory shed on her own land.
She did, yeah. But the problem is she is stuck waiting for a massive bank loan just to afford modern equipment.
So she's totally stalled. And then we have Vikram. He just returned from Manchester after 15 years.
15 years is a long time.
Yeah, and he is eager to marry, settle down, and establish a latex and silicone manufacturing unit right here in India.
And his relocated family actually gifted him an ancestral house to start his married life, right?
Exactly. So seeing Vrinda struggle so much, Vikram steps up and proposes this incredibly selfless Plan B.
Oh, this part got me. He says he will give her his entire lifetime savings for her equipment, and he will just return to Manchester for a few more years.
It's a huge sacrifice. But Vrinda firmly rejects it. She completely refuses because she wants to protect his dream of coming home.
I love that. Instead, she generously leases Vikram the vacant plot right next to her factory.
With a super flexible pay-when-you-succeed agreement.
Which is just so supportive. And then Gio steps in as the financial anchor. He promises a buffer fund to support both of them the moment their respective bank loans come through and production begins.
Vincent just does an incredible job here setting up this tension between financial stability and deep-rooted friendship.
He really does. But here's where it gets really interesting for me. Gio is offering a completely logical solution by providing a buffer fund.
Right.
So why isn't that enough to give him peace of mind? Why does it escalate?
Well, you have to analyze Gio's profound survivor's guilt. His stable, successful life creates this heavy sense of unease and shame.
Because his friends are struggling while he's perfectly fine.
Exactly. He is consumed by empathy.
Yeah.
He desperately wants to lift them out of hardship without damaging his own business, but he is trapped in this painful dilemma.
Because their bank loans are delaying.
Yes. The delaying is the catalyst.
Yeah.
And because they are delaying and his guilt is just overwhelming him, Gio realizes that waiting is no longer an option.
Which propels him into sudden, secretive action. His plan was to provide buffer financial support once they were steady, but time is running out.
And this results in what Gio describes as the longest night in his life.
The longest night. Wow. So the very next morning, Gio drives over to his assistant, Javid's house.
Right. He hands Javid the keys and briefs him on all the day's printing assignments.
Which is him completely detaching from his normal life. Then he heads straight to Chor Bazaar.
And this is where the methodical nature of his plan really starts to show.
Yeah, he picks out 2 basic touchscreen models at a secondhand phone shop, but he has a strict condition for the shopkeeper.
He says he'll only buy them if the shopkeeper provides 2 burner SIMs.
Right, so after a quick phone call and a short wait, a man arrives with active SIMs and a slip listing the numbers.
And Gio verifies that everything worked perfectly right there.
But then he does this really specific thing. He hands a local Chaiwala boy a 500 rupee note along with that number slip.
Yeah, he asks the boy to get data packs activated at a nearby recharge shop and tells him to keep the change.
So what does this all mean? The narrator pivots from worrying about his printing business to executing a burner phone drop-off with a Chaiwala.
It's wild, right?
Does this indicate he has done this sort of thing before, or is he just acting on adrenaline?
Well, it really shows Vincent portraying a mind shifting from passive worry to active, untraceable logistics. He is completely separating his professional life.
By handing the keys to Javid.
Right, exactly. Separating that from his underground mission. Using the Chaiwala creates a layer of anonymity.
That makes total sense. So, with his untraceable communication secured, Gio moves immediately to the physical target of his operation.
He utilizes his environment for perfect reconnaissance.
He reaches what the story calls the Justice House. And opposite this bungalow stands a 2-story complex.
Vincent maps this out so well. Gio walks through the whole layout. The ground floor is a computer showroom.
Okay.
The first floor is a tutorial center, and the second floor is a chartered accountant's office.
So he just follows the stairway all the way up to the terrace.
And from that vantage point, he gets this excellent view of the Justice's bungalow, the outhouse, the garden, and the main gate.
And he notes that the main gate is situated beside a pedestrian gate and a guard's cabin that is staffed by 2 security guards.
Very important details.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to be careful not to be noticed.
Right, so without looking directly with his eyes, he carefully aligned his phone camera to avoid focusing suspiciously.
He just clicks the shutter and takes several shots of the bungalow and the surroundings.
Which is so clever. While he's looking, he notices that the outhouse main door is actually not visible.
It's a blind spot. But then he remembers a detail from someone named Rudra.
Ah, yes. He remembers Rudra mentioning that the justice uses a single long key to open the outhouse door.
And because of that one detail, he instantly knows it is a rim lock.
Vincent's precise mapping of that 2-story complex and the line of sight from the terrace is just a masterclass in building spatial awareness for the reader.
It really is. You feel like you are standing on that terrace with him.
But wait, I have to ask. He figures out the exact lock mechanism just from remembering a passing comment about a single long key.
Yep.
How does a printing press owner know the mechanics of a rim lock?
Well, it highlights the heightened awareness Geo displays. He has this acute attention to detail. Remembering Rudra's specific comment forces a critical shift in his entire plan.
Oh, because a normal break-in won't work on a rim lock.
Exactly. He realizes he needs a custom tool to break open the door silently.
Right, so he leverages his industrial mindset. He transitions directly from surveillance into mechanical engineering.
Step by step, it's fascinating. He drives to Ranamahala and visits a scrapyard.
And he selects an old cycle, just an old bicycle.
Yeah, and he asks the worker there to cut and separate the front fork assembly from the mainframe.
Which is just so specific. He cleverly repurposes these bicycle parts into a wood drilling tool constructed around that main front fork assembly.
Vincent's description here is incredibly detailed. At the top, the standard cycle handlebar remains bolted as it is to its original steerer tube.
Okay, so that serves as the turning mechanism for the second operator standing behind the tool.
Right. And then for the kneeling operator...
The one who stabilizes the device against the door.
Exactly. For the kneeling operator, 2 handle grips, which are made from cut-off pieces of a handlebar, are permanently welded onto opposite sides of the lower fork assembly.
Oh, I see. So this provides a secure 2-handed hold over their right shoulder.
Yes, and the actual cutting mechanism is an 18-millimeter diameter plug cutter.
And that is securely welded directly to the bottom of the inner fork steerer tube.
Precisely. This allows the rotational force from the top handlebar to translate straight down into the door to bore out the hole.
Silently. That is terrifyingly brilliant. And once the tool is done, he safely stows it away in his car trunk.
But this raises a massive question about his plan.
Yeah, it does. He is building a highly specific 2-person tool, right? For the second operator and the kneeling operator.
Yes.
Up until this exact second, he has been acting entirely alone. Is he forcing his friends into this?
It's a huge shift.
Right.
If you break down the mechanics of the tool as described by Vincent, the physical construction of the device completely dictates the necessity of accomplices.
He literally cannot use it by himself.
Right. The tool itself requires teamwork, which perfectly mirrors the trio's friendship.
Yeah.
He is physically binding them to this act.
Wow. Okay, so with the mechanical tool completed and hidden, Geo must finalize the last piece of his puzzle.
Which is setting the trap.
Right, a fabricated printing job that sets the trap for the next morning. So he drives back to his press.
And he just waits until all the employees roll down the shutter and leave.
He locks it from the inside and takes on this highly specific printing task. He prints 2 types of leaflets, designated as A and B, in the name of a renowned jewelry showroom.
And these aren't just regular leaflets. They feature simulated scratch-off panels.
Yeah, but rather than using actual scratchable material, which I assume is complicated to make, the panels are simply printed to look like the real thing using silver ink.
It's all about creating a convincing illusion.
Totally. And the Type A leaflets are designed with 3 faux scratch-off panels, while Type B leaflets contain only 2.
Very precise. And by 10 p.m., the entire print run of 100 copies is successfully completed.
He carefully hides the leaflets away in a safe place.
And then from his office cabin, he finally makes the call. He calls Vrinda.
He tells her to be ready by 8:30 tomorrow morning because he is coming to pick her up.
And before she can even ask any questions, he just cuts in.
Yeah, he says, "Please just do as I say. I'll drop you back off at your lab or house by 11:00 a.m., whichever you prefer." And then he literally hangs up on her.
He then calls Vikram, gives him the exact same instructions, gets out of the press, locks it, and drives home.
He takes them for a drive. He doesn't tell them where they're going.
He just lets them sit there in confusion.
Right. He drives to a street, parks among other cars, And at exactly 9:00 a.m., this massive gate opens across the street.
And out comes this sleek white car.
Yeah. And the crowd on the street actually waves and salutes the man in the back seat, and he waves back. It's this huge display of entrenched power.
And Gio uses that exact display to set the stage.
Yeah.
He leads Vrinda and Vikram up to a terrace opposite this massive judge's bungalow.
And he just tells them to look, right?
Yeah, to scan the layout within those huge compound walls.
And because they're old friends, they just start mocking him. Vrinda teases him about waking them up just to watch a justice leave.
Vikram joins in too, jokingly listing out all the obvious stuff. The bungalow, the garden, the outhouse, the security cabin.
He literally asks if they can go home now. But I want to push back on this a bit, or rather, ask you a question. Gio deliberately lets them mock the situation before he pulls the rug out and points to 3 CCTV cameras they completely missed. How does this single observation instantly drain the playful mood from the group?
Well, it recontextualizes everything, right? By pointing out the hidden surveillance, he forces them to realize they aren't just passively looking at a house. They are actively surveilling a secure, monitored compound. The text is very clear. Their playful expressions just vanish.
Yeah, Vrinda's voice goes totally calm and she asks what exactly he's up to, and Gio just drops it on them. He tells them they're looking at the target of a heist.
Targeting the outhouse specifically.
Right. He even calls the operation the Dumped Justice.
Which prompts Vikram to ask, completely stunned, if there is illicit money in there.
And Gio confirms it. Vrinda can only whisper in this total disbelief.
But Gio doesn't give them time to panic. He chronologically walks them through the logistics. He moves them to the edge of the terrace to show them the adjacent corner plot.
Oh, this part is crazy. The back lintel of the outhouse is just 2 feet from the compound wall.
Exactly 2 feet. And directly opposite that gap is a narrow alley between 2 school buildings where a noon meal van usually parks.
And to prove it, they walk right down to the schoolyard. They literally slip through a missing gate into the school premises.
Where kids are running around arriving early for school.
Yes. And you have to praise Vincent here, the writer, for this incredible contrast. You have innocent kids playing, and right next to them, these ordinary citizens are stepping into a heavy criminal plot.
The psychological toll is huge. The text notes how hard their hearts are hammering. They are terrified.
It's a suffocating wave of fear, and the text has this amazing analogy. Gio's calm confidence acts as an anchor in the storm of their panic.
It's perfect, because their financial need is the storm pushing them, but fear is telling them to run. Gio is the anchor forcing them to stay.
And they whisper a shaky agreement. Then, that drive back, the text describes it perfectly as the tide pulling back before a tsunami.
You can really feel the dread pooling in that silent car.
But, we have to ask, how does Gio even know about this dumped money?
Right, which takes us to later that evening. They meet up at a remote lounge in the Shadow Bar to discuss what they call the shadow that had hung over us that evening.
Which is such a great phrase. And Vrinda finally asks how he knows.
And the origin story is wild. Gio explains that just last week, he found a screen-locked phone in a parking lot. It rang in his office, he answered, and it was the owner, Rudra.
An illiterate, heavily intoxicated servant from the justice's house, right?
Exactly. And Rudra starts slurring out all these strange routines over the phone.
Okay, let's track the clues Gio picks up here. First, the justice wears gloves to open the outhouse. Second, he dumps files and papers into carton boxes.
And third, he forbids absolutely anyone from going inside, not even for cleaning.
But the most important clue is the left-handed code.
Yes, the justice is right-handed, but he intentionally uses his left hand to scribble digits followed by a K on the boxes.
So 1,000K represents 10 lakhs.
Exactly.
It's just sheer luck, honestly. Gio says it was like pulling a snag thread from a sweater. But then Vikram, who, by the way, the dialogue starts referring to as Leo during this planning phase, Leo asks a very practical question.
He wants to know if Rudra knows Gio's identity.
Right. And Gio confirms they never came face to face.
We remain totally anonymous.
Which is a huge strategic vulnerability he just accidentally uncovered. So sitting in the Shadow Bar, they need a way past the guards. Gio asks Vrinda for a chemical weapon.
But not a gun, obviously.
Yeah.
He asks for a scratch-off ink that causes unconsciousness.
Right, and she's a chemical analyst, so she actually has an exact formulation for this.
She does. She plans to use sodium hypochlorite, which, when it contacts alcohol, emits sweet-smelling, incapacitating fumes.
And the mechanics of delivering this are brilliant. They use a jumbo refillable marker pen filled with ethanol.
Which is the alcohol.
Right, and they use it to rub against panels coated in the sodium hypochlorite. But how do you make sure the guards breathe it in?
Gio's printing press background comes in here. He prints the hidden message under the panel so minutely that the guards are physically forced to lean in close to read it.
Meaning they inhale the concentrated fumes directly.
Exactly. But Gio is worried about it being fatal.
Yeah, he doesn't want to kill anyone.
So Vrenda confidently promises a medical failsafe. She'll have antidotes, injection kits, emergency respiratory apparatuses.
Wow, she's really prepared.
She's going to monitor their BP, heart rate, respiration. She guarantees they'll wake up feeling refreshed, just like from a deep sleep.
Okay, but to get them to scratch it in the first place, Gio creates this decoy leaflet puzzle. It's disguised as a promotional campaign for a renowned jewelry showroom.
Offering 100 grams of gold for 2 friends on Friendship Day.
And the mechanics of this, Vincent, is a genius here. One guard gets leaflet A, the other gets leaflet B.
And they have to scratch panels in a precise sequence, right?
Yeah, 3 on A, 2 on B. The instructions tell them what to do next, ultimately revealing characters that form a 10-digit burner phone number.
And that number is the ultimate failsafe rule.
Yes. If that burner phone rings, it means the guards are still awake to make the call. The gas failed. It's such an airtight metric for success.
It really is. So they have this intense plan, and then the drinks and nibbles finally arrive at their table in the shadow bar.
The text notes they actually pause here to toast and sip before Gio doles out the final assignments. It's such a weird moment of normalcy.
Very surreal. So let's list out these exact duties. Vrenda has to craft the chemical and the pen.
Mm-hmm.
She has to integrate the toxic panels into the leaflets.
And the medical kit, too.
Right, but also the disguise. She has to learn to tie a sardarji pagri, purchase the fabric for it, and get black cloth for a fake beard.
So she's basically doing chemistry, medical, and wardrobe.
Basically, yeah. And then Vikram has his checklist. He has to prepare for the plot by wearing a silicone mask he sourced from Manchester.
Because he went there for silicone manufacturing.
Exactly. The text seeded that perfectly. He also has to arrange at least 4 trolley bags.
For the cash. But the footwear forensics part, this blew my mind.
It's incredibly specific. Gio demands 3 pairs of shoes, 2 pairs of size 7 and 1 pair size 5.
And they all must have the exact same sole design, same tread.
And they have to physically remove any numbers found on the soles. Phase. So Gio packs his SUV, and the inventory is hyper-specific here.
He packs a custom door-breaking tool, hacksaw blades, a torch, and working gloves. Then he picks up Vrenda, along with what the text specifically calls her assigned plot materials.
Assigned plot materials, right.
Yeah. Then they drive to Vikram's empty ancestral house, where Vikram is waiting for them.
And Gio notes that he can sense this palpable tension on Vrenda and Vikram's faces. They're nervous.
Understandably.
Yeah, so he has to assure them that his plan is fail-proof. He emphasizes 3 top priorities for the night.
Absolute alertness, timely action, and
leaving no evidence or fingerprints behind. 0 trace.
Which leads right into the disguises. Vrenda produces Punjabi attire. Gio puts on the clothes while Vrenda fashions a makeshift beard out of black cloth.
Right.
And she wraps a pagri, like a traditional turban, around his head.
Yeah.
And then Vrenda herself puts on a Punjabi dress with a dupatta covering her head.
Okay, wait. I have to push back here for a second. A fake beard made out of just a piece of black cloth. In a multi-million-dollar heist. I mean, that sounds incredibly amateurish.
Mm.
How does that possibly pass inspection if anyone gets a close look?
Well, it wouldn't pass inspection under bright lights or, close scrutiny. But that's the genius of the psychology at play here.
How so?
You have to consider the environment and human perception. In the dark, from a distance, people don't see granular details.
They see shapes.
Exactly. They see shapes and patterns they recognize. So the silhouette of the turban, the traditional dress, the dark shape covering the lower face, it instantly registers in an observer's brain as a traditional Punjabi couple.
Right. They aren't trying to pass a forensic visual test.
No, they're trying to create an undeniable, harmless assumption in the minds of anyone who just glances their way.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. They are hacking the brain's pattern recognition.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Vikram has a totally different approach. He applies a professional silicone mask that he brought all the way from Manchester.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and Vrenda provides the finishing touches to blend the edges perfectly. The text even notes Vikram's astonishment when he looks at Gio and Vrenda. He exclaims that they look exactly like a Punjabi couple.
So the disguises are solid.
Very solid.
Yeah.
So they load the SUV with 4 empty trolley bags, park at one end of the Justice's street, and lock their personal phones in the glove box.
They opt instead for 2 burner phones.
Mm-hmm.
One for Vrinda and one for Vikram.
Yeah.
And we really have to talk about the shoes. This is such a critical detail to me.
Oh, the identical soles.
Yes. They all put on shoes with the exact same sole design meant specifically for the plot. I just have to praise the writer Vincent here again. If you think about the identical shoe soles and the precise costume design, it's almost like a theatrical stage production.
Right, where every prop must be perfectly aligned so no individual signature is left behind.
Exactly.
If investigators find footprints later, they will just find multiple prints of the exact same size and tread.
It creates a completely muddied forensic profile. It's totally untraceable.
Untraceable, yeah. So perfectly costumed, they slip unnoticed into the opposite building's terrace. They watch the Justice smoke on his balcony, blow a whistle for his 2 guards, issue instructions, and go inside.
The lights go out, and the guards return to their room. But then, an unexpected obstacle.
Right. They spot movement in the dark, adjacent school playground.
So chronologically, they can't proceed. They're stuck.
Gio sends Vikram to investigate, and Vikram returns terrified, reporting that local goons, like muggers, have gathered in the school veranda to drink.
Now, if you're listening, you might wonder why they don't just proceed anyway. I mean, they're in disguise.
But remember Gio's strict rule, 0 variables, 0 trace.
Exactly. They need to park their SUV inside that school compound to have secure access to the Justice's wall. They absolutely cannot do that with a group of drunk locals sitting right there.
So they wait. Patience is a core component of this kind of discipline.
Yeah.
Once the miscreants finally leave, Gio drives the SUV into the school compound and parks it in the right spot.
And now the approach begins.
Right. Gio and Vrinda, dressed as the Punjabi couple, go stand directly in front of the pedestrian gate of the bungalow.
And Vikram, wearing that Manchester silicone mask, approaches the gate, pretending to be a sales promotion rep from a reputed jewelry showroom.
And he loudly pitches a promotional offer with high chances of winning a lucky bumper prize of 100 grams of gold.
100 grams. The psychology here is brilliant. He doesn't try to sneak up.
No, he creates a spectacle.
He is actively weaponizing their greed. The conversation grows so lively that it catches the guards' attention entirely.
Drawn by the prospect of gold, the guards actually open the gate and stand there, completely engrossed.
But notice what Gio and Vrinda are doing during this exchange. They are strategically keeping their backs turned, or at least angled, so the guards cannot see their faces at all.
Right. And once the guards are distracted, Gio and Vrinda grab leaflets and retreat to the SUV.
And when Vrinda gets to the SUV, she waits there with a medical kit, ready for action.
Meanwhile, Vikram stays at the gate. He just waits until the guards' greed peaks.
The text gives us the exact moment this happens. They literally call out, Sab hum biduna.
Which basically means, sir, give us some too.
Right.
This is where Vrinda's chemical expertise really comes into play. Vikram hands a toxic scratch-off leaflet A to one guard and a toxic leaflet B to the other.
And crucially, he gives both of them ethanol-filled scratch pens.
Yes, it is.
So guards go back inside, they close the gate, and they literally collapse mid-scratch as those activated toxins take effect.
Vikram watches through the narrow gaps in the gate, grins, and dials Vrinda's burner phone to rush the gate.
Which transitions us directly from the guards collapsing to the physical infiltration of the compound.
Right. Vikram jumps the pedestrian gate and opens it from the inside for Vrinda.
She immediately enters the security cabin, and what she does next is a total masterclass in risk mitigation.
Oh, yeah. She retrieves the 2 toxic leaflets and the pens, sealing them in a plastic bag to completely remove the evidence.
And then she lays the 2 guards straight on the floor to monitor their heartbeats, their blood pressure, and their breathing.
She is essentially running a medical triage unit in the middle of a high-stakes heist. She even has chloroform ready to administer if she notices them stirring.
Just to ensure they remain unconscious without actually killing them.
Exactly. She treats the human element as a purely chemical variable that just needs to be stabilized.
Meanwhile, while she locks down the security cabin, Gio and Vikram are moving. They climb on top of the SUV, scale the compound wall, step onto the lintel at the back of the outhouse, navigate across to the staircase landing, and descend the veranda to the main door.
All while successfully avoiding the CCTV cameras.
Yeah. Main door of the outhouse. And this is where the gritty reality of physical theft sets in.
It really does. Vikram kneels down and braces a plug cutter tool on his shoulder, pressed firmly against the cone.
And standing behind him, Gio carefully turns the handle to drill 10 separate holes around the rim lock.
10 holes.
Yes. Then they use a hacksaw blade to manually cut between every single hole.
The mechanics of this are intensely manual. Like a rim lock is a locking mechanism attached to the surface of a door rather than set into the edge. To bypass it without a key, you literally have to compromise the structural integrity of the wood holding it.
It's like trying to remove a stubborn lid from a vacuum-sealed jar by puncturing tiny holes all the way around the rim until the seal just dies.
That's a great analogy.
It takes time, it takes sweat, and it is exhausting labor. It is such a sharp contrast to the slick, wireless, high-tech hacking we usually see in these kinds of stories.
Absolutely. Finally, the wood piece comes loose. They carefully retrieve the dislodged wood from the latch so it isn't left on the ground.
Zero trace.
Right, and they enter the outhouse.
And there it is. The cash-filled carton boxes covered with the case files, scribbled with digits ending in K.
Vikram immediately rushes out to place the door-cutting tool and all the hacksaw blades, broken and unbroken, back into the SUV.
And he brings back the empty trolley bags.
Gio calls Vrinda to confirm the status. They have secured the heist. And Vrinda confirms the guards are still stabilized.
So they start emptying the cartons, filling 2 trolley bags with heavy cash bundles. Vikram hauls these incredibly heavy bags back to the SUV, returns with 2 more, and they pack the rest,
leaving only the papers and legal files behind.
And here's where Gio's foresight reaches its absolute peak for me. He stages a scene inside the outhouse.
Oh, this part is so good.
He takes the empty liquor bottles, the water bottles, and the leftover food packets that the goons left behind on the school veranda earlier.
The ones that waited out?
Yes. He scatters all their trash in the outhouse. But he doesn't just toss them. He carefully preserves the existing fingerprints of the muggers on those items.
He is actively framing the local goons. It's brilliant.
If the justice actually calls the cops, the forensic evidence points directly to a bunch of rowdy locals who broke in, got drunk, and stumbled out with the cash.
Gio is rewriting the narrative of the crime scene before it's even discovered.
Yeah.
So they load the final 4 trolley bags into the vehicle. Gio starts the engine. Vikram calls Vrinda back to the SUV, and they drive away.
Not a single trail, not a shred of evidence belonging to them is left behind.
Chronologically, they head straight to Vikram's empty ancestral house. They retrieve their personal phones from the glove box, turn them on, and sit down to count the bundles to confirm the total heist amount.
They change out of their plot clothes. Gio leaves everything, the clothes, the burner phones, the extra leaflets, the tools, those identical shoes, and the gloves for Vikram to guard.
And Gio drops Vrinda off, then goes home.
The text tells us that days pass.
Mm-hmm.
Every single piece of plot material is intelligently, methodically disposed of. They just melt back into their regular lives.
Which leads us to one fine morning. The 3 of them are standing along the road as the justice passes by in his white car, waving at the adoring crowds just like before.
They decide to salute him. But the salutes are highly specific to the money they stole.
Gio gives him a 10,000 salute. Vrinda gives a 50,000 salute. Vikram gives a 40,000 salute.
And the justice, completely oblivious, simply waves back and vanishes into the distance.
The onlookers vanish. The trio is left staring at the big closing iron gates. And Vrinda whispers, "That's the same 2 guards."
The guards survived. The plan worked perfectly. Vikram and Vrinda gaze at Gio like a savior.
And Gio says this incredible line. He says, "If we don't maintain justice, justice will maintain us."
And this is where the narrative just drops the floor out from under us, because the story reveals the meta twist.
Yes. The writer, Vincent, crafted their every move, but the sly trio managed to slip through the ink.
They hid the stolen cash in a secret spot known only to the Midnight Shadows.
The characters actually feared their own creator. They were convinced that if the author's pen found the loot, a plot twist would surely pick their pockets.
They realized they were fictional.
Yeah.
And they actively worked to outsmart the author writing them.
I have to pause and just lavish praise on Vincent for this. It is an incredible literary device.
Vincent is a brilliant writer. The mastermind behind the pages, Vincent himself, now sits staring at a blank chapter, completely outsmarted by his own papal puppets.
Even in a world made entirely of words, greed whispers louder than the writer's voice.
The trickery.
Trio trade born from Vincent's creative pen. We're given a planned heist to execute then. But once the stolen booty was safely in hand, they slipped away from the writer's command, leaving the dump's justice hidden between the lines again.